What is up, homies? Welcome back to another trailer reaction from Heroes Reforged. We are watching the very first official teaser trailer for Superman. I can't believe that we're actually here. It feels like James Gunn just took over DC, and the fact we're getting our first teaser trailer today is a great little Merry Christmas from James Gunn and DC.
Adam, you have
Christmas
to wait
early.
until after we see the trailer before you burst into tears, man. Just the way you set that up, where
just
you're
wait.
like, we're
Just wait.
seeing the first trailer for, and the way you even, I just want that to land for a second.
Yeah.
The way you said, this is a trailer for a movie called Superman. This isn't Superman the movie. This isn't Superman Legacy. This isn't the Rise of Superman. This isn't some. This is just like, this is it. And it kind of feels
This
like
is Superman.
the fact that they settled on that title versus any other title. It kind of feels like it's an confirmation that they have never made this movie. And
Right.
before, you've got fans of other versions of Superman coming into the comments and being like, yes, they have. They did it in 1978. Like every version of Superman, I think up to this point has been. They've had successes and minuses. Certainly, Christopher Reeve was such a beautiful success. That was such a special performance, at least twice, and even his performance in 3 and 4, I love the man, you know. And I think that a lot of things really worked about Superman Returns, and a lot of things really worked about Man of Steel. But I've always felt, even going back to the Richard Donner version, there was a testing and kind of a respect to the comic book material, but not necessarily we're going all in, we're adapting the whole thing. Do you know what I'm saying? And it feels like now, with where we are in pop culture, audiences are more than ready, more than willing to accept this is a fully lived in superhero universe. Just do the whole thing. You know, there's more than the villains of Lex Luthor and General Zod. There's more stories to tell. And now I'm just stalling and making my friend mad because I know how badly he wants to watch this trailer. Augustine, any thoughts? Words? Thoughts?
Yeah, I prepared a soliloquy, 18 pages. We will talk about the merit and the morality of Superman.
Thank you.
In a modern post MCU world. So here we go.
Nice.
Also, no, let's. Adam didn't
we are going to be watching and revisiting some of those old Superman movies in anticipation for this film. Even though they're not connected, we thought it'd be really fun to just revisit and to see the sort of the trajectory and the arc of Superman in film. And then obviously we'll do reviews and stuff of Superman when it comes out in July. But
because we love Superman. Yeah. Okay, let's just go. Count us down, Adam. Let's go.
All right.
Let's go.
Here we go. I'm nervous. I might shit in
Quivering
3,
with excitement.
2, 1, go.
Oh man.
Oh, okay.
Oh, he's getting beat up.
Oh,
wow.
Little guy. He's just a little guy.
He's a little. Whoa, he's like really getting the shit kicked out of him.
Yeah. He's got curly hair? Okay.
This like millennial, no, what's the generation after millennial? Generation Z hair, it's great.
Whoa.
Yeah, he's getting his
What happened?
lock rocked.
Ooh, I like it so far. His guitar is fucking killer.
What a cutie. What I love those Clark vibes. There we go. There it is.
Jonathan Kent lives.
Hey.
Yes, the dog, baby.
Oh my God.
Let's go, Crypto.
No.
Crypto?
Stop it.
Wow.
Dude, that's awesome.
Oh my God.
Just your dog rushing at you.
Yeah.
There we go.
Home. Take me home.
Let's go.
Oh my God. That son of a bitch. Look at him.
Yup.
Hey.
Stop.
Oh shit.
Stag. There we go.
Oh wow.
Oh my God.
Oh, we're just going for it. We're
this is great.
for it.
Was that Metamorpho?
I think so.
Oh my God. Mr. Terrific, look at that shit. Oh my God, dude.
What a tease.
Wow.
Stop. I'm gonna lose my fucking head.
Oh man!
All right, again. I want to see it again.
Have this on loop.
I'm putting on
We're gonna
repeat.
have
I'm
this on
putting on
loop as we
repeat.
talk.
Repeat quickly.
Oh man! Should we do a double reaction? Should we react to it again, you guys?
Yes.
Should we?
I mean, maybe.
We might as well.
let's
Reboot.
let's cue it up again.
Okay.
Let's cue it up again, Adam. Just so
Cue it
we
up
can
with
kind of
the
go
sound.
through this now.
All right, you
With
guys
the
ready?
sound, the whole thing.
I am ready. I am
All right.
ready.
Yeah.
Here
yeah.
we go.
Ready?
In 3, 2, 1, go. Warner Brothers is just gonna own
Okay.
the copyright on this video. I don't know what to tell you.
Oh yeah, it doesn't matter. They're gonna. We still don't know who he's fighting. Crypto the Superdog looks like my dog Donut.
I was gonna
which is
say, looks
amazing.
just like Donut.
It looks just
Also,
like
like,
Donut.
I'm sure who
I'm
the
sure a
hell
lot
is he
of people
fighting
are
that
gonna
he's getting
watch-
the shit kicked out of him
Yeah,
so hard?
I'm sure a lot of
man.
people
I
are
don't
watching this
know.
trailer and they're like, "Crypto looks like my dog." I'm sure a lot of
Yeah,
people.
right.
Yeah, there's
feel
a
that.
lot of people
Great.
who have white fluffy dogs. Yeah.
Yeah,
I did not expect him to have that wavy little hair. That's
I
cute.
know.
He's a little cute.
It's
He's a
very
little
different
cutie
than
patootie.
Superman.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and there's only
Clark
been
looks
like a
different.
couple of set photos of him as Clark Kent. So
Yeah.
and I think it was from
Yeah.
that particular scene.
This guitar is rocking, man. It's so cool.
Yeah,
Can't get
Rachel
over it.
Brosnahan, she looks fantastic as Lois
Oh,
Lane.
yeah.
Pretty pitch perfect. I mean,
Yeah,
but this sort of Clark in flannel, it's like, yeah, that's Clark. That's what he
Yeah.
needs to look
That's
like.
Clark. Yeah.
I'm sure those scenes are gonna hit real hard.
oh my God, we put Crypto in a Superman movie.
Crazy.
Finally.
This
Jeez.
might be
Crazy.
this
We're
might be the
starting with
intro
Crypto.
movie. This might be the introduction. I mean, what a great introduction to Crypto.
Right?
Is that?
Well,
It's
didn't they
just
say
the-
that this
the-
movie starts on like some huge battle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This could be
Yeah.
part of it.
Take me home.
Oh,
And then home.
Look
it's
at
gonna.
Oh, that
introduce
shot.
us to
That's all I
the-
need.
the
That's all I need is that shot.
Fortress
That's all I
of
need.
Solitude. I know. That might be my favorite
Lex.
shot from the trailer.
Oh, this kid is
oh,
this?
I'm
Come
gonna
on.
cry.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh,
Look at that hair.
hair, dude. That's gonna be
Is that supposed to be
hilarious.
the Arctic giant or Arctic monster from the Fleischer
I don't
cartoons?
know.
Be great. It would be great if it was.
I got to do some research.
Crypto. God,
Look
I
at
love that
that.
so much.
Mr.
So that-
Terrific looks
That fight
terrific.
in that sports stadium, I think it is. I've seen a set photo of it. People are saying it might be Ultraman.
Yeah, I've
Which
seen that
might
too.
be
Yeah.
Which might be a Lex Luthor, Luthor Corp, or Stag sort of a creation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's a lot to go over in this thing, but here's what I want to
Yeah.
talk about. I want to talk about the double whammy of like getting this poster and the music and then getting this trailer today
Mm-hmm.
and sort of like trying to map out what this could mean for not just this movie, but their larger DC Universe franchise. And I saw a great video. I want to shout it out. You should go watch. I think I sent it to you guys. You should go watch Bob Chipman's video on YouTube. Go watch this on YouTube.
Movie
'Cause
Bob.
I think that he laid out that like if you're coming off of James Gunn's work in the Suicide Squad, and then that leads into Peacemaker, and then now that stuff is technically not canon, but it still is. It doesn't really matter. But like that Creature Commandos is now the new first thing, but again, it doesn't really matter. And then we're going from Creature Commandos to this. That like, how can you do Superman first of all, just generally speaking, and make it work in a movie?
Yeah.
They've tried now multiple times in the past 2 decades, and they kind of didn't stick. So that we're trying it again. But how do you do Superman, who is a character who is so classic and so old school and so iconic and so good, when the DC brand, I think itself, has been sort of dark since Christopher Nolan Dark Knight trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
It's that I think that like Warner Brothers thinks that that's what DC is. So they
Right.
tapped Christopher Nolan to produce Superman, Man of Steel, and they brought in filmmakers and stuff that would be like, and they kept saying like, well, we're going to do things differently than Marvel. Our stuff is going to be rated R first. Our stuff is going to be, to try to differentiate.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's always sort of been for the past 20 years, these mostly darker toned movies. And then again, James Gunn, who does have a lot of heart in his work, but he has rated R. So far, these have been like 3 rated R projects: Suicide
Yeah.
Squad, Peacemaker, Creature Commandos, and then going into this.
Back to back to back.
And-
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what this video that I saw was saying that Bob Chipman said is he's saying that instead of trying to reboot this franchise and say that Superman is the first superhero,
Mm-hmm.
he is absolutely living and playing in the sandbox of the DC universe exists. It has existed. We saw with Creature Commandos, Frankenstein has been a thing for a very long time. The Bride has been a thing for a very long time. Probably the Justice Society of America was probably active during World War II. Sergeant Rock and G.I. Robot were active during World War II. But so it's like, so then what does that mean for Superman if he's not the first? Like, how is he going to matter? This video was theorizing that, like, when you have a world set up to be this cynical and this dark, the way that you're going to get audiences, and especially young people today in 2024, to really love this character is to make Superman the new kid on the block. He's the young guy. He's the young guy stepping into this world. And then you get to set up how cool Superman is, how great of a character is, how much heart he has, that is going to be in direct contrast with the rest of the world that's sort of already established.
Yeah.
And so he was really excited about this. Bob was really excited about this, being a massive Superman fan. And I was just hearing this and going, I think that this might be right on the money. And it kind of worked out beautifully, because I know that his earlier projects, James Gunn, did not know that he was going to be rebooting the entire DC universe. Right? He was just hired on to do Suicide Squad. And then while he was making that, he was rehired by Disney to do Guardians 3. And he was done with Suicide Squad so that he could come back. And then during the pandemic lockdown, he wrote Peacemaker. He wrote every episode of that show and then was like, can we make this a show? And then did it. So I think it worked out really beautifully. And I think that I'm really, really excited about what that could mean specifically in this movie, like what specific moments we could get, what the specific story could be behind these corporately owned superheroes. And then here comes Superman, who is a champion of the oppressed. He is the person who speaks up for the little guy. And the other thing I saw that was interesting too was that to compare this franchise to Marvel, you want to take another step back. The MCU has been incredibly successful and has given us great characters, and characters like Steve Rogers that are full of heart. And yet, either way you look at it, most of the major characters in that franchise are the Avengers, and most of that also means that they're like a highly militarized, somewhat of a government agency. You know what I mean? They're, the first Iron Man movie was 2008. We talked about it before, but like, how did the September 11th world events sort of affect how U.S. citizens and people around the world view superhero characters? You can see that shift happening with Christopher Nolan, with Batman Begins and The Dark Knight. You can even see this very post 9/11 version of Tony Stark Iron Man. They really leaned into that. And so since then, it's been that. And people are looking at this Superman and going, well, what if this character, solo character, is going to go up against a Guy Gardner and a Hawk Girl and a Mr. Terrific, and they're going to kind of represent an almost MCU version of superhero characters. You know what I mean? And then maybe Superman will inspire them to not necessarily work for a government or a company or a corporation. Because the thing is like, I know that characters like Tony Stark and Steve Rogers and Natasha Romanoff and Bruce Banner, I know that even though they're all sort of like working for the U.S. government in some way or another, that I know that those characters are good people at their core, and they'll usually always try and make the right choice and the right decision and help people. So it's going to be great to see, because we know this too about even Guy Gardner. Even though he's a dick, he is a hero at heart. Hawk Girl, I know, is a hero. Mr. Terrific is certainly a hero. Metamorpho is a hero. So it's going to be great to see them kind of wrestle with that and be like, hey, Stag, we don't work for you anymore. Or Luthor, we don't work for you anymore. Screw you. We want to work with this guy. He's cool. And maybe they'll join a Justice League or whatever. So anyway, I've just been thinking about that for the past couple days since this poster, and the trailer is making me feel like that could be very much on the money. And it's really, really exciting, dude, because the movie looks really fun on a surface level, just like really heroic and fun, but it might have something really meaningful to say. And I hope that it does. And I'm excited to see how this character in this story is going to affect and impact like their whole franchise going forward,
Yeah, absolutely. And especially because this is the first time, because again, with Man of Steel, when it started, there were little hints towards there being other superheroes, mostly just in like background stuff that was happening, but no real full commitment until the second movie that they're doing a shared universe. And because this one from launch, I mean, even Creature Commandos, obviously, that's like the prologue, you could say. It is a shared universe. Everybody coexists together. Any DC character is on the table because James Gunn is that comic book guy who will put the most obscure character from 1947 into a movie. So, but that's what's exciting. But I agree, I think that it, in a lot of ways, will need to, or I don't know if it needs to do this, but I think maybe it'll even just be written into the DNA of a lot of these scripts and stories. How is it establishing itself differently from what's come before? Because you're right, like a lot of the franchises that are still ongoing started in a very different world. And of course, they've evolved over time, but they still have that origin of being made in a very specific era of film and in the world. And I do think that this franchise has the advantage that it is now, it is today, and it can be about today's world and then move forward, which is kind of exciting because even, you know, I feel like that's a part of the DC films that has been missing because they've also just not fully embraced what the DC universe is, which is a science fiction fantasy world. And I love that James Gunn has talked about that with Superman as well, that it is going to embrace all that sort of stuff, that yes, it has its own in-world reality and it has its own rules, and they're trying to make it grounded in the sense that they still want it to connect with people. But at the end of the day, you can't run around the fact that it is a science fiction fantasy world where in this version, it looks like Lex Luthor is a scientist / businessman. You know, he's going to be creating so many weird, kooky things where he thinks he's like this genius scientist, but really he's just a psychopath, you know, who's trying to kill Superman or trying to do whatever he's trying to do. And I like that too, of like incorporating Stag Industries and these superheroes being very corporate, and how Superman obviously like will avoid that at all costs. And what is the thing? What really is the thing that shifts the narrative and shifts the world where all of these superheroes become independent, or they unite to become the Justice League or the, you know, Justice League of America, Justice League of whatever. That is exciting. It is exciting to see that. And it's exciting to see how the big three, but also the other four mostly main characters of the Justice League fit into this world, because it is stylistically, tonally, so far, just from the trailer, very different from what's come in the last 10 years. I mean, hell, even it's different than the Donner Superman as well. The Donner Superman's great, but again, mostly because of the limited technology of 1977, 78, they did what they could, and I think they did an incredible job. But now this is like, the thing that excites me about this is that it is a comic book universe. It's not a Superman universe. It's not a Batman universe. It's not kind of a hybrid. It is everything. Yeah, we got monsters in this. We got weird lasers in the sky. And I'm very curious to find out also just from general audiences who maybe like they're genuinely not used to that. Like we haven't had a lot of that in a lot of DC stuff.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think even like the 2013 Man of Steel, it was like, oh, Zod shows up and this is the first time Earth has ever dealt with anything. You know, aliens, this feels like it's going to be, no, dude, there's been other aliens before. You know, if we've got characters like Metamorpho, who's like a mutated human, but he's this giant monster that I keep seeing in this trailer.
Yeah.
There's so much sci-fi in this. There's so much to be really excited about. And I keep looking at, I know that his third Guardians film felt like this too. I haven't seen that in a little while. I need to rewatch it. But James is using a lot of, you know, we're on a first name basis. James is using a lot of like these really great emotional close-ups for these characters. Like when Clark is kissing Lois, or when he's there with his paw, or even to zoom in on Luthor as he's seemingly like losing it, or Metamorpho for these emotional, you know. And I think James Gunn has been utilizing some of those types of shots throughout all of his work. If you go back to Super, you know, the last shot is very similar to the last shot of Guardians 2, where it's just a close-up on a character crying, you know, but in Guardians 2, it's Rocket Raccoon, and in Super, it's Rainn Wilson. But I feel like Guardians 3, he really pushed it and did a lot more of that with the camera work, and it feels like he's doing a lot of it in this as well. And I wonder if it's like, if it's just his style right now, or if he's really leaning into it because he's going, I want to bring in the audiences. I want them to feel the emotion of this character in a big, colorful comic booky world. Let me bring you in, though. Here's Clark kissing Lois before maybe he flies off and goes and does something, or whatever. You know, that's another big, important thing about Superman, is that the romance between him and Lois Lane is like half of the reason people love that character. Like, and I love that James Gunn is, I think he's going to do something big and romantic and with those two characters, which I'm really excited about. So just stoked about this conversation about how Superman is not going to be a corporate character, because I want to remind people, like, if you've ever felt like Superman is boring and he's not an interesting superhero character for you, I want to, like, I've been telling these guys as I've been reading these early, very first original Superman stories that he just runs around fucking shit up because he's trying to help people. He's helping people who literally are kind of powerless and they can't in regular modern American society. Not like they're like in a war-torn, situation. They're just like in a city and they're struggling because it's hard to live in the world, and there are people who are taking advantage of groups that can't defend themselves. Superman's biggest enemy ends up in these comic book storylines evolving into who? A CEO, dude.
Right.
That's his biggest enemy. Yeah. So this is the kind of guy Superman is, okay? So just think about that next time you think about, oh, Superman's not for me. Maybe he is, because he's for all of us, dude. He doesn't put up with that BS. So he hates all billionaires except for one, Bruce Wayne. He eventually finds and works with, and then they'll fund all of their Justice League watchtower, satellite, orbiting station, whatever. That's going to come later, but...
Man, y'all have thought about this for so long.
Dude, it's been bubbling, brother. It's been bubbling, and it's hard to
Augustine, have you forgotten whose presence you are in?
I know.
The president of the known universe here.
I know, right? Of what's his face, Mark Strong. Every point that you guys bring up is super duper valid. I personally am not trying to bring in that kind of weight at this point to everything that we potentially want Superman to be, because he is that aspirational, motivational leader. The fact that in this movie, he's potentially, he's definitely not the first superhero. I think that's going to work in his advantage. I don't think, for me, the attraction to Superman was never the fact that he was the first superhero. It was his morality. It was his ideals. It was his leadership. And so to do that, to come into a cynical world and potentially change it, I think that's going to be the biggest, coolest thing. But I also think, you guys posed a lot of questions. I also think we really, really have to pay attention to Creature Commandos. He's setting the tone for the universe in that show. Like he said, that's literally the first thing that he's going to show us about this world. And he's already shown us that there's magic, that there's been superheroes and monsters around for a very long time before Superman showed up. And he's really kind of just setting the tone as a cynical world. And this guy's going to come in and just make our tingles jingle, make us feel giddy and excited and feel like we can be better people, because Superman is striving to be a better person of himself every time, even though he is ultimately the best person. He is the strongest, the most unstoppable. He is. It's still difficult to try to be a good person when you have access to these types of things, and when the whole world is basically made out of cardboard, right? Like, look at what Omni-Man did. Obviously, Omni-Man came in with like an agenda, with an agenda of his people, but it could very easily have become like, I'm just going to become king of the world.
Right.
I'm just gonna make everybody do what I want, because I don't like that people are murdering each other and all this stuff, and I'm gonna rule with an iron fist. No, he doesn't do that. Yeah. He lets us be human.
Yeah.
And the fact that, James Gunn has changed because I wasn't a big fan of the Guardians of the Galaxy. I liked them. I thought they were fun. But by the time it ended with Guardians of the Galaxy 3, I think Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is the greatest MCU like little trilogy that they have. Just because he came through, and if you go back, it's all written into itself. Like Rocket's arc is there 100%. And I remember being so confused. I remember being so confused and sad watching, when Rocket had his shirt off and he goes, there's nothing out there but like me, but me. And he was so sad and he was so traumatized. I was like, where is this coming from? And then to have that resolved in the third movie, he already had that in his mind about stuff like that. So I have no doubts that this movie has been thought out to the fullest extent. Its connection to the greater DC world. It's I think it's all going to be, all of this is pointing in the right direction.
You think James Gunn is going to do a Superman trilogy? Do you think he's going to do 3 of these?
Oh yeah.
Or hand it out. You think he's going to do 3?
Potentially.
I think so.
I don't want to put that kind of weight on Superman. Like, I don't want him to feel like he has to do a trilogy within a specific amount of time, right?
No, definitely not within a specific amount of time. If it takes 10 years to make 3 movies, fine, because there's going to be plenty of other shit to happen in between.
There's clearly a lot of shit happening. Like there's
Yeah.
this is a lived in world. There's a lot of stuff going on. I really want these movies to come out organically. If he feels that a sequel is necessary, then do the sequel.
Yeah.
But I don't want it to be like, oh, well, I've already signed up for 3 movies. Get out of here, bro.
Right.
Let's watch this one first.
Yeah,
and I feel like
It-
that's going to be the case.
It was such an amazing feat to pull off the various like Avengers team up movies in the MCU, and especially the Infinity War Endgame double feature there. I think that it was so impressive, and I know we've talked about this before, but like it made it so that I think people in retrospect think that like every Marvel project, you know, leading up to those movies was like flawless just because of
Right.
how well I think they stuck the landing. But they weren't.
Yeah.
They weren't. But
No.
I think that it's going to be a great challenge, but it's going to be very tough to pull off the same thing in this franchise because just because it was really tough to do it the first time over at Marvel, you know, and
Right.
for now James it's just tough to make a movie period, let alone have them all land the way that they do after a 10-year whatever mega story, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But seeing James Gunn talk about how like they're not doing stuff until the scripts are like good and that they all and that he approves of them or that they're all on the same page about stuff, I think is really great. And I hope that that carries over into how Marvel has mostly been doing their stuff. It's really tricky because like Marvel has also pulled off a couple of miracle movies. The first Iron Man movie did not have a finished script when they started shooting. And it was kind of being written as they were filming it. And it was kind of, in some cases, being improvised a little bit. And that also included the sort of the input of Robert Downey Jr. and Jeff Bridges and Gwyneth Paltrow and Jon Favreau and, you know, as actors or whatever. Anyway, the point is, I want to see that intention applied to Marvel. Obviously, I want them to also have the best possible movies or TV shows or whatever. So if it means that like stuff doesn't get going until the scripts are in place, that's great. But I think that Marvel is in a really tricky spot right now because they have so many different spinning plates and things that haven't been fulfilled yet. You've got teases at the end of movies. You've got characters that have been introduced. You've got storylines that like we've kind of been left dangling for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And it used to be going from movie to movie. So there was a real satisfaction of like, oh, Thor's hammer was teased in Iron Man 2. Now the next movie is going to be Thor next year. And that hasn't happened at Marvel for a little while. And so I want Marvel to take lessons, obviously, and I'm excited because I think that the DCU and Warner Brothers with this level of competition, I think is really going to make Marvel better. I hope. I think competition is always a good thing, but I also want DC to, and I think that they can do this. The thing about Marvel, like putting certain things into production, even if the scripts weren't done, I think sometimes has worked out because sometimes that combination or the formula of like, well, we know that if this character is in play by the time this movie happens and that character can be in that movie, it can lead to a really great moment or a really great story. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think this is exactly the case, but let's say hypothetically, let's say that they were like doing the Doctor Strange movie maybe before the first Doctor Strange script was done. But it's also because they're like, but we definitely want to do that because we want Doctor Strange in like a Thor movie to have a scene, and we want Doctor Strange to be around before Avengers Infinity War. Now, I'm not saying that the Doctor Strange script wasn't finished. It very well could have been, but I'm saying as a hypothetical, would Marvel be the most in the wrong to like get that production going if some of that payoff includes like that thing I just mentioned? Some people are looking at me going, yes, Hector, a sucky movie's a sucky movie. Don't do it. I get you. But again, Marvel has had a lot of success with like, we don't necessarily have all the way finished scripts and things have worked out pretty well so far. What I'm saying is I'm hoping that if DC is moving towards some sort of a larger story, whether it's Justice League or whatever, if Chapter 1 Gods and Monsters has a larger meaning other than just, hey, there's going to be some gods, there's going to be some monsters, then I hope that they can still have enough things in motion so that they're able to play in their sandbox. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm confident that James Gunn gets all that stuff, dude. That like James Gunn can step back and go, I know what the DC universe, what's great about it in the comic books. I know which characters are great. That's why we're getting Mr. Terrific in this. That's why we're getting Hawk Girl. Like, I'm sure that was set up so that they can come back sooner than, oh, we have to introduce them in their own movie or their own TV show. Like, let's get to some of these characters. So I'm really excited. I'm excited about the competition. I think it's going to make hopefully both franchises better.
Oh yeah,
that's what I want.
Oh yeah, and you know, honestly, I'm fully expecting Kevin Feige to be there day one because he does that
for sure.
He better be there. He better be there.
He does that a lot. I mean, we went to a screening of Power Rangers, and who was sitting at the front of the theater? Kevin Feige. You know, like he's gonna be there, and he loves Superman. He worked for Richard Donner.
Honestly, he's probably already seen the movie. Like he's probably already seen early cuts. Like
it's very possible.
I bet you he's like he's in there with James. Yeah, he's like hanging out at James Gunn's house, just watching the early cuts.
I hope so. It would be cool, but I would like a friendly competition between the two because I want them to like challenge each other a little bit and make each other better. That's
absolutely,
that would be great.
Absolutely. The one thing that I picked up from the you know, and I was just thinking about this. We're a little desensitized to the fact that Superman doesn't have a secret identity when it comes to his relationship with Lois Lane. It's been that way since Man of Steel. It's been that way since Superman and Lois. And I'm realizing now as I rewatched the trailer multiple times, she seems to know that what his secret identity is.
Yeah, she makes out with both Clark Kent and Superman.
Yeah, and he doesn't have his glasses on when he's Clark Kent. Yeah. So I didn't pick up on that the first time we watched the trailer. So I'm like, oh, that's cool. Okay, so we're already establishing that.
Now, what about at the Daily Planet though? Because he's at his desk and he does this great little. It's almost like a Brandon Routh moment where he kind of turns around like, is somebody talking about me? What about in that moment? Do you think Lois knows at that point in the story, or
I don't know?
That might be early on. That might be early on before they actually hook up. But yeah,
I think I think if it's not already established at the beginning of the film, it does seem like at some point throughout the movie she will find out that he is Superman.
Could be a great moment.
I think so too. Also interesting that like the trailer doesn't end with the title Superman. It ends with the DC Studios logo. Because it's like, we know what we're watching. We know what this is. We know what this trailer is.
You know what this is.
It's true.
Don't worry about it.
It's true. It's true. People are gonna go to the theater. They know that there's gonna be a Superman movie.
Right.
Gonna, look that up, get a ticket, and go see Superman. It's They don't need to market that name, dude.
Right.
That name is as recognizable as Mickey Mouse or Jesus Christ. They're fine.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's like what trailer could this be? Like, I don't know. You tell me. Will you tell me?
I know. Imagine. Well, I mean, dude, honestly, little kids might have that feeling.
True.
There might be little kids watching this being like, what is this?
Yeah.
There's
which is great.
Little kid going to the theater by themselves. Hopefully not.
To go see Mufasa by himself.
No, you can't. It's not going to happen. But
my last sort of thoughts on this trailer is that it and I've already been feeling this way, especially leading up to the release of this trailer. But now we are within the window. We're in the marketing window. It's officially started. We're 7 months away. This makes me want to, and you've already started doing this, go back and just do a deep dive, not only on Superman comic books,
it's great,
but on just random pockets of DC stuff, and especially things that maybe are more Silver Age, that are a lot more science fiction fantasy, and just kind of live in that universe, that world for maybe the next 7 months. I don't know. Like, I don't think it'll make me bring any additional expectations to the film, but I think it'll put me in the right mindset of what to kind of expect.
Totally.
You know what you should do is watch the Justice League animated series.
Oh, baby. I bought that Blu-ray.
Which to me, before the MCU, the Infinity Saga ended, to me, Justice League, the animated show, was the greatest piece of comic book media that we've seen so far. It had great representation of what all the characters should be. So maybe that's in order. Maybe watching a little bit of Justice League, the animated series, is what we need. Who knows?
I agree. But it was a great first trailer. Cannot wait to see more from this movie. Can't believe it that it's only 7 months away.
You know what's exciting too is we didn't hear anybody speak. So the next trailer, the first official full trailer, because this is just a teaser, is going to be really exciting because you're going to hear characters talk. And we're that's really great too. It'll feel like it's the first trailer. So that's great.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, it will be. This is just the teaser.
Yeah.
Yeah. This was a great sort of tone set and just an idea of what the universe could look like in live action. So really exciting stuff. But of course, guys, let us know your thoughts. How did you feel about this first official teaser trailer for Superman? Let us know all your thoughts, theories. How are you feeling about it? I'm so curious, and I'm so excited to find out what people in our audience think about this teaser. But let us know. Check out all the Uncut reactions for everything else that we are watching. We'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.
Heroes Reforged is gonna react. Heroes Reforged is gonna review. Heroes Reforged is gonna discuss. That's why we are watching